2025 turned out to be quite the milestone year for Apple, and despite some turbulence, the tech giant has set itself up for its biggest change in years. Yahoo Finance's Dan Howley joins us now with the news. Dan.
That's right, Josh. This was a huge year for Apple. Not only did they post record revenue, they sold their newest iPhone, seeing huge numbers as far as sales go so far. And oh yeah, they hit a $4 trillion market cap, the only other company to do that, NVIDIA. And they're, kind of playing a little closer to NVIDIA now than when NVIDIA was at $5 trillion. But what's a trillion between friends, really? Some of the things that the company did, though, really didn't have to do with one of the biggest issues that they have, AI. That seems to be pushed off until next year. They did have their head of AI retire. They're bringing in more folks. They did see a number of other C-suite retirements, whether that was their legal counsel or their head of government affairs. And it seems as though, for the most part, what this is doing, as far as the year goes, is teeing up for a post-Tim Cook Apple. Now, there was that Financial Times report a month ago, basically saying that Cook was ready to retire sometime in early 2026. Then Bloomberg's Mark Gurman said that's not exactly the case. Regardless, he is approaching retirement age. And so the company is clearly thinking about what that would look like. And so they've reportedly been grooming John Ternus, one of their VPs of hardware engineering, to be the next CEO. He's the top contender. Doesn't necessarily mean he will absolutely be the next CEO, but he's being kind of groomed for that position. And really, Apple kind of giving us a sense of, this is going to be a transitional era, and this is how we're going to handle it, kind of piecemeal. As people kind of take off, we'll fill in those slots, but it won't be kind of all at once approach. And for a company like Apple that's remarkably stable despite being so large, it can feel a little odd seeing so many departures at once or throughout the year. But the experts that I spoke to say this is really the best course of action for this company.
Let me ask you, Dan, Apple's engine's still the iPhone. In 2026, what do you think innovation is going to look like there? What could we expect? Is it form factor changes? Is it foldables or revamped Siri? What do you think next year Tim Cook has to introduce to keep that engine humming?
Yeah, I mean, the big rumor is that there'll be a foldable iPhone for 2026, and kind of the iPhone Air was seen as kind of teeing that up. Showing off that they can put the goods inside of a smaller package. There's been different reports saying that the Air hasn't sold as well as, the Pro or the Pro Max or the base 17, which is a remarkably good phone for the price. But it appears as though that is what the Air was, kind of an appetizer almost, and the foldable will be the main course. Now, there's been obviously Samsung with their own foldable phones over time. They have their Fold 7, which is an incredible phone for what you get. It is priced relatively high, and you can imagine that a foldable iPhone would probably have the same kind of price premium. So, for the iPhone itself, that's kind of what we're looking for in 2026.
Dan, great to have you as always. Thank you, sir.